Okay, we are back in Sunrider Liberation Day, version 2.02. So, some scenes were added into the game. We are picking up right here when they actually do come in, if I remember correctly. So, this is after the whole fight with the Alliance and Sunrider kind of got crushed. So, Kato's saying the Sunrider stood its ground. You'll notice he's not voice acted because we actually were talking about this in the comments. Someone was asking when does Kato actually speak, and it's just the word fire when you're doing the Vanguard cannon. Because I provided his voice the other times.
お兄ちゃん
In case you're wondering, the English voice acting is in place. Since you can use Cosette, you can actually hear her lines. I could have added that in, but I just didn't care to. New contacts coming in hot. What? It's multiple enemies detected, providing assistance. Blackjack coming in. It's the Seraphim and the Blackjack. We heard what happened in the Hollow and came back as soon as we could. We'll lead the Alliance bogies away, protect the lifeboats. Paladin, reload your munitions with my spare rifle. We've got some ass kicking to do. Ammo restored. So you can tell this is new because it's not voice acted. Seriously. I knew all along you guys would come back to save us. I definitely wasn't worried at all. Besides, it would have sucked if everything just ended like that would ever happen to us. Now, let's go get some payback. The Pact fleet's starting to organize a counteroffensive against the Alliance, and it looks like we're right in the middle of the crossfire. Even with 2 more riders, we can't take everyone on ourselves. For crying out, I'm sure the captain's figured something out. We just gotta hold out a bit longer. If it's him, he can definitely... Come on, Captain, do something. As if on cue, Akari's comm crackled to life. Her final act. Save everyone. It's the Sunrider. Captain? He's gonna... Captain! Alpha sat on an elegant curved wooden chaise. Before her was a round table with an enormous assortment of tea sets. Everything floated in white space, neither upright, sideways, or downwards. This was the dimensional space between space, where time flowed infinitely, forwards and backwards, and all was simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. News of the Liberation Day massacre had reached her. My sister has failed. Instead of unifying humanity, her actions instead sparked a war which will threaten the very existence of the human race. I have been betrayed by my own sister. Alpha's long-awaited guest arrived, the traitor. Don't feel bad. I'd hardly say you were the only one who got betrayed. Alpha's thoughts broke and she returned to real space. Wanderer. The air distorted as the space-time continuum parted in front of Alpha. Sparks flew and the wind ruffled Alpha's hair as a figure emerged from the micro-wormhole. And at least she didn't have to be vaporized like poor Claude. You know what explosive decompression does to my skin? To think this woman possesses so much power. No, she has long ceased to be human, has become a different entity altogether. She could recreate the entire universe right now before me, and yet she chooses to gallivant across the galaxy, pursuing nothing but frivolities. Hey, I did what you wanted. First I led the Sunrider to the sleeper in the abyss. It was a piece of cake. All I had to do was just play the damsel in distress role, and he was all over me in a flash. He should have seen what that brute did to me in the sickbay afterwards. You have to compensate me now that I've rescued you, he spoke in a firm voice. Anything but Claude's chastity, the poor maiden squealed as the captain tore her clothes off and ravaged her. Her pleas were futile as the captain thrust his will right into the girl's untouched glory hole. Claude's worldview changed a little after that day. After I led them to the abyss, I took care to make sure your little doll could get it on with the captain. It was a real challenge, you know. Claude had to work hard. Claude had to work weekends. And despite the captain's obvious infatuation with me, he was hitched up with Chigara in no time. After some vague medical reports and assorted other arrangements, there was another wrinkle in the plan. Somehow the Queen of Ruvia could sense Chigara's hyper brainwaves. Must have been maddening for the girl, being the only one to know the entire time that Chigara was a prototype. trying to desperately tell everyone what was happening, only to be ignored and dismissed at every turn. Claude's heart truly ached at the sight. But life's not fair. You have performed your mission admirably. But Claude's pretty lost here. So you sent Chigara to learn about humanity to one day control them in the fight against the Ebon Fleet. Then why the flippin' space world did Chigara shoot everyone dead at the peace ceremony? We initially sent C8 to keep watch on the then Ryuvian princess. It was your words which foretold of that girl's eventual final awakening. An awakening so powerful it will shake the galaxy and bring forth the return of the Holy Empire. It was mere happenstance that her path crossed with shields. From there, we sought to understand him, so that we could eventually control him. But my sister hid her true intent from me. While I mustered the prototypes and she mustered Pact, she was secretly sabotaging my efforts. She hid the true extent of her hatred for humanity from me, and instead attempted to bring about the complete destruction of the human race. And at that pivotal moment, she assumed control of C8 through the Mind Stream and brought my plan to ruin. So you just wanted to enslave humanity while your sister wanted to destroy it. Now, my sister and C8 battle inside the Mind Stream for control of the other prototypes. But what will emerge from that battle will not be either of them. A new shadow falls upon us. The Mind Stream is becoming corrupted. C8 shall return, but not as before. Quite a shocking development. But next time, please be more gentle with your extractions. A frail girl like Claude just can't stand to be blown up so many times. Looky here, Claude's just here to clean up this temporal disaster. An entire fleet blown up from its timeline and just dropped into this one? When people and things start moving through time willy-nilly and events get moved around all out of order, it's only a matter of time until something really bad happens to the entire universe. I thought you prototypes could take care of it, but I guess this is the end of the line now. Honestly, I don't care one way or another about a boring thing like you prototypes. I think I'd rather take my chances with the other team now. And this time, Claude will definitely win his heart. There won't be no little C8 unit to interfere anymore. Shields is dead. That man wouldn't die so easily. You'll use your powers to change the timeline? No. Were you listening? I told you. Moving events out of order can cause huge headaches. Things stop making sense, and huge gaping plot holes get opened. And you know when a plot hole opens up in the space-time continuum, the entire universe just kind of goes poof. That's the kind of scenario I'm trying to prevent here. Shields lives without my intervention. The Mind Stream. She's already begun to... On that note, why don't you just join up with us too? There's always room on the team for a Gothic Lolita. I decline. Oh well, less competition for me. You're welcome to stay here and do prototype things. My goal will not change. I will control humanity, regardless of my sister's machinations. We'll see about that, huh? Not if he has anything to say about it. Well then, see ya. A pop and a flash momentarily dazzled Alpha as Claude vanished into slipspace. Finally, dead silence returned to the grand cloning chamber. Alpha stood alone. My sister. What have you done? Captain, are you alright? It's me, Chigara. Shields groggily opened his eyes. Was he dead? Kato. Yes, he really had to be dead. After all, there was no other way she would be... Chigara. Oi. What are you doing? Shields came to. He felt like the world had collapsed on top of his head. Where was he? The Deck 1 reserve life pod. So he survived after all. Shields pulled himself up against the seat. Why did you save me? I was as good as dead on the floor of the bridge. You could have just used the life pod to escape by yourself. Why indeed? You guys have been trying to kill me for the better part of the war, and now you threw away your big chance to get what you want. Something must have happened. The old voice fades away, replaced by a new voice. She must be talking about the prototype's hive mind. Could the death of that prototype leader somehow have changed their psyche? Or could it be? Don't misunderstand. I'm not like that pretty little C8 model which we sent to worm into your heart. I didn't save you because of any desire on my part. Us L7s were made to carry out the will of our leader in combat. Our bodies are identical to the first prototype, the ones the humans... Okay, I just got a pop-up that distracted me for a second. The one the humans came to call Venusaur Arcadius. But even she was a stepping stone to Alpha, the crowning achievement of Diode. In the end, we are called prototypes because we are earlier failed incarnations of Alpha. We constantly hear their voices. They whisper to us, send us instructions, even when we sleep. That must mean the lesser clones are essentially slaves. Of course, I saw that firsthand when they mind-controlled Chigara. Then, could something have happened to free Lin? You're not getting instructions, are you? The voices will never stop. But there is now a new voice. We are evolving at a pace millions of times faster than you humans. But as to where we are heading, I felt a premonition, a sudden inexplicable urge to go down to the bridge to rescue you. For a short moment I lost control of my body and had another assume control. I found you floating unconscious on the bridge, all life support systems on board the Sunrider quickly failing. I had but seconds to carry you into a life pod and escape, but fortune was on your side as a single life pod remained unused on Deck 1, and I was able to carry you to it in time. Such episodes when we lose control of our bodies are not uncommon for us prototypes, but this time, to think we would be hijacked by a rogue, that can only mean she's still... It doesn't make any sense. The C8 unit was under our control, sent by us to control you. Chigara. We sought to understand you, to learn what motivated you, so that we could use that knowledge to control you. But for her to break free of the leader's will, she has become an aberration. She must be telling the truth now. But that means Chigara really was, the entire time. The beeping of the pod's console interrupted Shield's thoughts. His senses snapped back to him. What had happened to the battle, and his crew? He painfully picked himself up and limped to the pod's console. The Alliance forces are falling back. My gambit worked. Ramming the Sunrider into Machiavelli Actual and destroying the tactical paradox core took away the Alliance's trump card. With Grey and their entire chain of command massacred at the ceremony, their flagship destroyed and their secret weapon lost, they had no choice but to retreat. But all that seems moot since I'm about to be captured by the Pact fleet. And with Fontana pissed off, you can bet he'll just stand me up in front of the first wall he can find and shoot me. The frying pan and into the fire, huh? But that's not even the worst of my problems. What happened to Akari and Kriska and the crew? Shields gripped the console and scanned for friendly signals. Shit. Ikari, Kriska, Ava, anyone. Asaga. Hey, I'm gonna break off and go to Sector 947131. But we just finished tying up all the life pods. Pact's gonna be on top of us in seconds. We gotta... It's important. What are you... Akari's jaw dropped as the blackjack jetted away. For Soldier Boy, take the blackjack share of pods. We gotta get out of here. Understood. Shields wiped the sweat from his brows as a sea of red dots filled the pod's scanner readout. A massive wave of Pact ships was headed his way. He desperately put in scanning frequency after frequency, his fingers trembling. No response from any frequency. Could that mean that everyone was already captured? Or worse, wiped out? No. I have to keep those thoughts from my head. I said I was going to save everyone. They can't be all... The comm crackled to life. This is the Black... Is there a channel? Shields pounded the transmit button. This is Captain Kato Shields. Is that you, Asaga? Captain, I knew it. I knew you were still alive. I'm about to receive a real red welcoming party here. Can you get me out of here? Aye, aye, Captain. Just hang on to something tight. Does the prototype count? What? The cabin thunked as the blackjack shot a magnetic tow cable at the pod while performing a close flyby. Shields all of a sudden realized what Asaga meant and strapped himself into a seat. Lin was less fortunate, was tossed to the rear of the pod as it suddenly lurched forward along with the blackjack. Fool? I need afterburners. Let's outrun these guys before they can get shots off at us. So can a mech actually outrun a capital ship? The Blackjack finally detached the bridge escape pod from its tow cable. Alright, Captain, we're here. A small cargo transport was awaiting them. The Sunrider's riders clamped down on the transport and made the preparations for warp. The escape pod's gate hissed as the pod docked with the transport's airlock. The gate rolled open. Shields emerged. Captain. So they actually had this scene. Was this painted in a day or so? Or it's just one of the things that's confusing. Asaga lunged at him and gave him the lost embrace that she had desired for so long. I can't believe I just found you like that. I knew you couldn't have died. I just knew. Shields managed to grit a smile. Almost died, but not quite. Captain, I'll never stop protecting you again. I'll never give you up. I let this happen. I should never have left. No, Asaga, none of what happened was your fault. I'm sorry. Chigara really was a prototype. I can't believe it. She betrayed you. She betrayed everyone. After all that, I can't. And then this probably determines your relationship with. I don't know if this would be just like an Asaga choice or if it actually affects Chigara also. Well, it obviously does affect Chigara, but I mean like Ava, Sola, and so on. So let's just go with you were right. That's usually what you tell a woman to calm her down. I was blinded. I just wanted someone so badly that I let my guard down. I let down my guard. I should have been more careful. But all this time, I let the prototype spy on us. Merely because I was a fool. No, it's not your mistake, Captain. She totally fooled everyone. To think, she even had me completely fooled in the end. If only I was there to protect you. Next time, I'll be there. I'll definitely be the one by your side, Captain. I'll never forgive her. Shit. You moron. I really thought you bit the bullet there. Doing that to me. How the hell am I just supposed to watch you die? Don't you know there are people who care about you? What are we all supposed to do if you're not here anymore? You idiot, 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 idiot. Trying to be the hero when you're just an idiot. Don't be the hero, I just want you to be an idiot from now on. Yes, it was a grim moment. I thought all was lost. The Sunrider had perished, that we'd returned too late. Even though I've witnessed the atrocities of my era, none of the sorrows of my past compared to the weight of knowing that you were truly gone. Thanks to you, I feel more at home 2,000 years from my own timeline here, alongside all of you, than I did amongst the Ruvians. You showed me that I was not a pawn to be sacrificed, that men are not all vile monsters who merely seek the greed of their hearts. Well, I do have an orange ring, so I can't comment there. I am relieved that the captain who gave me a home still lives. Captain, while staying aboard the Sunrider during the evacuation procedure was the right decision under military protocol, I'm glad things turned out this way. The crew still needs you. The mission is still far from over. Pact still retains control of Sarah, and the massacre of most of the Alliance military leadership will no doubt return the war to their favor. No doubt countless more battles await you before you can return to a liberated Sarah. A leader must not throw away his life so easily. You still have many things left to accomplish. Everyone, I'm sorry to worry you all, but I had to stay on board the ship. I still hear the echo of Ava's voice that day. Captain, your order? And the words that came out of my mouth still. When I gave the order to abandon Sarah to the Pact fleet the day of the invasion, when I let my sister die before my very eyes, I fled like a coward, unable to even look at her killer in the eye. Since then, her ghost has haunted me every night, and this time I saw it happen all over again. Just when I thought we'd won, just when I believed everything was over, when I thought I could finally go back home and put everyone's ghosts to rest, when I thought I could rebuild the family that I had lost, everything was snatched away. In but a second, everything we had worked for, Chigara, killed, just like my sister. Our hard-won peace completely shattered at my feet. That's when I knew. This time. This time I could not order the Sunrider to fall back. No matter the impossible odds, no matter the strength of the enemy, this time I had to stand my ground. Stare at death's maw with both eyes open, and welcome its embrace. And only then could I be judged worthy of having done my duty to my world, to my family, to my ship. Stop trying to sound all cool. What good would you have been able to do dead? Sorry. I'm back, everyone. I'm still alive. Captain. Sir. Captain. Well, Captain, I see that you are still energetic as ever, even after completely destroying the ship. Commander? I am not joking, Captain. There was still a solid stack of paperwork yet to be completed on board that ship when it went down. Do not believe for a second that this gets you off the hook for the work that you owe me. Understood. I will try to do my best. I will try my best to make amends, sir. Yes, yes. I certainly sympathize with your position, Captain. Shields finally realized Asaga was still clinging to him and decided to detach himself, lest the mood become more awkward. Alright, everyone, break it up. Show's over. Get back to work. We still have a lot of work to do. Ava shooed the pilots and the rest of the surviving crew away to the best of her ability. What's the situation? Following the destruction of Machiavelli Actual and the sun... God, I can't even speak tonight. Yes, it's 4 a.m., but still. Following the destruction of Machiavelli Actual and the consequent loss of the Tactical Paradox Corps, the Alliance made a hasty retreat out of Sarah before the Pact fleet could organize an offensive. The Alliance fleet now holds position at the nearby neutral rim world of Barona, no doubt preparing a counterattack. Meanwhile, Pact has responded by consolidating all their forces at Sarah. The two sides now stare each other down, waiting for an opportunity to strike. We managed to use the chaos during the retreat to squeeze everyone into 8 life pods and then tow them to safety using our rider squad. As you can see, the situation is still dire. It appears we are once again back to square one as Pact still retains control of our homeworld. Even worse, we are now without a ship. For now, both the Alliance and the Pact believe you are dead, and given our position, I would rather they keep that assumption. I have managed to arrange safe passage on board this cargo runner to Tidaria, where you will go into hiding. In the meantime, I intend to head to Ryuvia Prime with our queen and see what military assets I can acquire. Me? Yes, that would be you. But I thought we were all going to stay together. Our first priority is keeping the captain from being discovered until we get a new ship, and with Pact now consolidating their forces at Sarah, Ryuvia Prime has never been more open. I've heard interesting things about Ryuvia's moon from Alliance intel. Pray tell that you do not know anything about it yourself. Look, that artificial moon is just folklore that people spread to remind themselves how great we used to be. People say all sorts of things, like that the moon's actually an enormous battle station with the firepower to destroy an entire planet. So, we can call it the Death Moon? Or that it's actually a portal to another dimension. A moon gate? My dad told me himself that the moon's completely useless. Just another derelict piece of lost technology which doesn't do anything. If it actually had any use, we've already used it to defend ourselves, right? Ryuvia used to be more powerful, and hundreds of years ago, we had ships as powerful as the Sunrider. But today, all we have are little corvettes and frigates, nothing capable of launching Yeah, I should just quit and go to sleep. Nothing capable of launching riders or fighting Pact. Well then, why was Venizar Arcadius so intent on conquering Ryuvia Prime? During his occupation, Arcadius, or rather the prototypes, funneled trillions of credits in excavating that moon. That moon holds something, and I intend to discover what it is. Well, I guess it's the lead, even though it's kind of a long shot. While we are investigating Ryuvia's moon, one of us should remain with the captain to guard him, someone with personal combat experience. Akari? Then I volunteer to remain with the captain on Tidaria. Sola? I should not have ever left him. My aim will not falter in his defense ever again. But I will be coming with me to Ryuvia Prime. You can help the captain by preparing a replacement vessel for him. Besides, what good would you be? Okay, Kari, that was a bit of a low blow. Besides, what good would you be in a fight? Seriously. Sola, not you too. Isn't that supposed to be a Kari? Sola leaned into a saga. Fear not, I merely seek to apply my marksmanship in defending him from his enemies. I have no intention of any indiscretions. I guess Sola's alright. After all, she's the most cool-headed person I know. I'll definitely come back with the biggest, baddest ship we can find for the captain. After that, it'll be just like old times again. And now with Chigara gone, I can... Alright, I guess it's okay. Someone who's good at fighting has to guard the captain, after all. Well, in that case, I'll head out to find my old black market contacts. I doubt the mining union's going to help us anymore, what with us completely destroying the Alliance flagship. We're going to need a new source of equipment for what's to come, and mercs. I know where to get them. The black market? Doesn't look like we have a choice. We are essentially fugitives from the law now. Sir, while this may be of disappointing news, I intend to turn myself into the Alliance. Eh? You can't do that. They'll definitely have you tried for treason and hung. No, the Alliance that I believe in is a fair and just nation. What the Alliance tried to do at Sarah was wrong. I will return and see what I can do to restore our support from the Alliance. If... No, once the truth of what occurred at Sarah comes out, I believe that the system will vindicate us. There's no way anyone in the Solar Alliance would approve of destroying an entire planet, no matter the circumstances. We still need the Alliance's support, or else we truly have no hope of ever liberating Sarah. You're being way too naive. There's no way anyone in the Solar Congress is ever going to admit that they tried to collapse an entire neutral rim planet into a black hole. We do not know that unless we try first. Don't come crying to me when I have to bust you out of a maximum security Alliance prison. Well, if the worst really comes to pass, then I'm sure I can count on your expertise. Seriously, idiot. Well then, it's settled. Not quite just yet. We have one more thing. Shields reached into the escape pod and pulled Lynn out. Prototype. Captain, what is she... She's the reason why I'm still here. She saved me, pulled me from the bridge while I was unconscious and put me into the escape pod. It's a trick. We already know this is how they operate. They seek to gain our trust. Prototype. I say we just throw her out the airlock right now. We don't need any of their lies anymore. What do you mean she saved you? I thought the prototypes were our enemies. Chigara. I think she's still alive. And she's trying to take control of all the prototypes. Or at least that's what Lynn seems to be saying. I think Chigara temporarily took control of Lynn and used her to save me. No, Captain, don't listen to that nonsense. Besides, Chigara was a prototype just like the rest of them, and look at where believing her got us. Well, maybe we should still keep her around. We need to keep tabs on the enemy, and Lynn here is our only source of intel. Even if she's one of them, we've got to use everything at our disposal right now. Besides, she's got kind of a big mouth. I'm sure if we keep talking to her, she'll keep spilling the beans. She could be useful as a tool. In any matter, I do not believe we can perform an execution in here at this moment, but perhaps later at another location. Thing is, she might like this. Very well, Captain. Well then, I believe our little sessions will continue, Prototype. You should thank the Captain's graciousness, especially after everything your friends have done. Whatever happens, make sure she stays away from the Captain. Even if she's our prisoner, there's no way you can ever trust a Prototype ever again. Kriska grabbed a roll of duct tape from the escape pod supply box and tied up Lynn's wrists. The other prototypes can still assume control of her. We should still be careful. You heard them, Lynn. Don't try to pull anything. Shields looked out the heliport. So much had happened, and they were on the verge of defeat. He saw his dirty, exhausted face in the reflection. Was this face still fit to lead them? Ava's face appeared beside his. Captain, despite all this, we will always be by your side. Ava? I apologize, Captain. I never realized it until I believed I had truly lost you. When you gave the evacuation order, no, even before that, I had always wanted to say. Before the Battle of Hellion, when you needed me the most, I was not. I did not answer your feelings truthfully. Ava? I was overcome with my responsibilities. The burden of my duty to liberate Sarah made me forget about the real ties that bind us. I was too strict and stiff. If I had just answered your feelings truthfully that day, then none of this would have ever happened. If I had just said what I wanted. Ultimately, it was the rift I created between us that day which doomed our mission. The prototypes exploited it and used it to put a spy inside our ranks. In hindsight, I should have known. A ship where the captain and the XO cannot communicate is doomed to fail. So, I want to say this now that I've finally been given a second chance. I have never forgotten the promise we made that night, that we would sail the stars together, captain and commander, in the mightiest ship of the Sarah Space Force, together as one, no matter the impossible odds. I'm guessing this is like a choice between the professional and personal one. But like I said a second ago, the best way to get a woman to calm down, there are three things you can say. One of them is you're right. The second one is I'm sorry. Yes, Kato. Commander, that's unfair. What about me? I was the one trying to warn you about Chigara the most, remember? Heh, if only you'd listen to me, Captain. Still, my offer stands. A Saga di Rivia, hero of justice at your service, sir. If you need a supervillain taken down, you know who to call. Also comes with the bonus of kissing the maiden into the sunset after everything's over. How about it, Captain? I've always been on your side. Except for that one part where she went knife crazy on us. I think that was part 7 when she actually turned to try to nail Chigara. Plus, you also had the pimp slap there, but let's focus on the task at hand. What is this stupid love fest? I can't believe you guys still even like this guy. Just look at him. Totally got backstabbed by his new girlfriend like literally just days after going out. Totally ruined everything we fought for the past year, and on top of that, completely vaporized our ship. The most unreliable space captain in the history of space captains. Can't believe I like a guy like him. Uh, I mean, it's not like I like you or anything. Ikari ran screaming across the cargo bay and hid behind a stack of crates. Captain, I understand we will be spending much time together from now. Perhaps we should get closer. Huh? In the end, even soulless. No way. Huh. You're quite the popular man, Captain. Looks like your life is difficult in more than one way. No way. Forget defeating Pact and liberating Sarah. At this rate, my real problem might be managing these girls. Just what else could possibly go wrong? Up, Claude's back. Suddenly, sparks blew throughout the room as the space-time portal ripped open, sending an explosion of wind throughout the room. Stacks of cargo crates fell everywhere, and on top of that mess was... That was sure a messy entry. What? That good-for-nothing but fan service, incompetent nympho woman is back. Venisar S. Fontana stood at the bridge of the assault carrier V Victus. Woe to the conquered, eh? And I don't know if this is this character's first appearance or not. Venisar A. Kushana entered the bridge, visibly impressed by the numerous upgrades the proud vessel had received since its service in the Compact Revolution. You've grown, boy. Welcome back from your exile, Kushana of the Many Miracles. Your exploits against the new Empire are still sung in Pact space to this day. I was there myself to witness you dispatch no less than an entire Imperial flotilla in mere moments, using nothing but mere destroyers over the skies of Threala. I don't know how that's pronounced. It was truly unfortunate that one such as yourself was exiled by the madwoman Alice. Leaders of your caliber have been sorely lacking in the Pact fleet thus far. Flattery will get you nowhere, Caesar. By my order, your position as High Admiral of Crimson Fleet is hereby reinstated. You once held back Imperial fleets 1,000 strong using nothing more than dozens of scrap pirate ships. Now you will defend our lands from the coming Imperialists, now with obsolete frigates, with the full might of Pact's industrial base. Further, you are hereby commissioned as the captain of our flagship, the Legion. So I wonder if that line is different if you actually take down the Legion. But the data is this is supposed to save a file on your computer once you beat the game that will be able to be loaded up in the next installment, so it's possible the Legion thing could come into play there. I probably should make a video pointing it out so you can look at it, because people have it. Keeps track of whether or not Cosette is alive. Status of the Legion, I think the Wish All has a few things in there. You were just a boy when Arcadius picked you up off the streets of Thriala. To think you would now lead what he started. It's been so many years. Alice's failure was set the moment she set out to lead Pact. She was but a broken, destitute girl when Arcadius met her. Her home destroyed, her entire life in shambles. He took her in, sheltered her, gave her a new life inside Pact, gave her family. She fell hopelessly in love with him. But her dreams were to be thwarted. To the very end, Arcadius sought peace with the new empire. He believed the Compact and the Empire would have to reach reconciliation in order to end the bloodshed, while others within Compact sought a more radical approach. And in the end, it was the angry mob which had won. When we took New Eden, the pressure chamber of furious anger after centuries of brutal oppression burst, and the mobs took to the streets, set everything ablaze, raped, pillaged, tore down millennia of history. Alice was there that day, when Arcadius stood before the mobs, trying to protect the Emperor. He was cut down, killed by the very people he sought to liberate. And since that day, Alice lost her mind. In the end, she sought justice for Arcadius, in her own twisted logic, by seeking the complete annihilation of humankind. Very well, if you are to lead Compact in a new age, free of the madness which Alice brought to our cause, then I will gladly take your fleet. Just know that if you prove unworthy of flying the crimson flag, then I will dispose of you myself. I expect nothing less. The Solar Alliance amasses for a full-scale invasion of Pact space. Now that the Liberation Day massacre has occurred, this war will only end in one of two ways. Either we win, or they will kill all of us. What must be our next move? They assemble their fleets at Verona, while our forces are still stationed at Serra. The Alliance has thus far won effectively every battle in the war, but now their brightest military minds have all been killed at Serra. Their fury will be their undoing. They intend to strike Tethra. Tethra? But that is deep inside Pact space, merely a few jumps away from New Eden itself. We have amassed all our ships at Serra, leaving our interior undefended. The Alliance will seek a target which will deal the most damage to our will, and a heavily populated core world like Tethra would be too tantalizing a target if it were to remain completely undefended. They'll perform a risky multi-stage warp from Verona to Tethra, and ignore Serra altogether. Thus far, Gray was wise enough to avoid such high-risk stratagems, but with him dead, and the Alliance voters wanting blood. Send messages on our encrypted military channels. Inform all our ships to amass at Serra for a final defensive line. The Alliance will no doubt intercept our messages and believe we intend to remain at Serra. In the meantime, I shall take my fleet and hide in maximum low orbit behind Tethra's moon. When the Alliance fleet warps in, believing we are still at Serra, that will be the end of their offensive, as their ships will now be trapped deep inside Pact space with no safe warp point back to retreat. We will then hunt down the remaining ships of the combined fleet as they scramble out of our territory, until none remain. Very well. We shall see if your predictions come to fruition. Emile Kushana? Her stratagems are the stuff of legends. The new Imperials even whispered she was a time traveler who could foresee the future. Now, I know that Kushana has no secret powers, no lost technology aiding her seemingly prophetic predictions. She is merely that good. Kushana took Fontana's speakerphone and relayed a message to all hands. All hands, I am Benazar A. Kushana. Didn't they just say her name was Emile or something like that? I don't know. Newly reinstated High Admiral of the Crimson Fleet. Some of you may have heard my name during the Compact Revolution. I am told that during my absence, the men and women of the Martyrs' banner shamed our cause with such cowardly tactics as bombing unarmed cities, mistreating prisoners of war, and flying with artificial beings who have never even understood the meaning of sacrifice. Know that as of now, such unbecoming conduct has no place in our fleets. I'll reform the lot of you until you become sailors worthy of that red uniform. Throughout the past years, everything I had heard about the new Pact fleet brought nothing but shame and disgust to my heart. We are not the villains of the story. We are the proud men and women who fight for freedom, justice, and equality. No longer shall the name Pact bring forth images of despair, violence, and brutality. The entire galaxy detests us now, and for good reason, for we have brought nothing but great suffering to the common folk of the neutral rim and beyond. But soon, the entire galaxy shall sing songs of our heroism, of our discipline. We will turn the tide of this war, and bring about a new age, where Pact shall no longer be the evil empire, but the liberators. The age of compact, when we sought peace instead of violence, freedom instead of blind obedience to demagogues, and equality for all, begins today. Kushana, out. The bridge crew stood and applauded. My brothers and sisters, I may be your admiral, but I'm merely a soldier of the Crimson Flag, just like all of you. Together, we will turn the tide of the war back to our favor. Perhaps the old days of the compact revolution can return, when we traveled the stars to liberate ourselves from the new empire. Alice is now dead, and the fool Shields has been removed from the picture as well. The era of Pact has begun. Arcadius. No. Humanity, Pact, Alliance, Shields. Let everything burn. Captain. Captain. Chigara is coming for you. Shields grabbed his supply pack from the life pod and put it on his back. Sola grabbed an enormous scoped rifle from a black case. She flipped open another container and withdrew a curved battle knife which she strapped onto her side. They had dropped down onto Daria with their life pod. For now it looked like their plan had worked and nobody had noticed their arrival. For as far as Shields could see, nothing but sand stretched on into the horizon. While living here was undoubtedly going to be a far cry from the comforts of his loft, the largely uninhabited surface of Tidaria made the perfect hideaway for a wanted man such as himself. Are you ready? Yes. The commander has already arranged a hideout a kilo away. Follow me. Okay. Kato spoke as they crossed the seemingly endless desert. It was difficult to believe these deserts were considered one of Tidaria's most livable areas. Other locales featured nothing more than toxic gases and scorching heat. I still can't believe Claude was alive all this time. You know, she had a piece of lost technology which just let her teleport out of the Bianca moments before it got hit. She should have just told us earlier. And on top of that, I can't believe she actually made up the medical report about Chigara not being a prototype either. If only she hadn't been such an idiot, we could have known that Chigara was a prototype much earlier. Guess I shouldn't have counted on a ditz like her to deliver an accurate report. No. There is a matter I wish to discuss with you, in private, without the other members of the crew. Sola, is something the matter? Yes. I have come to suspect there's a great deal of information that our chief medical officer is hiding. What do you mean? I believe Cloud is actually the one who's been relaying our movements to the prototypes. What? Sola, you need to say stuff like this sooner. No, the matter is far more complicated. I have had a vision where I spoke to Claude. It was like a momentary trance where all my surroundings faded away and I floated in midair. It was as if I was suspended in deep sleep once more, yet I was still in control of my body. During this vision, I learned that our chief medical officer was in fact an ancient Ryuvian like myself. But she could not have come from my era, for she was far more powerful than I think I could have imagined. Indeed, if my suspicions are correct, she may have attained a power far more terrifying than even the mightiest Ryuvian empires of the ancient past. The power to bend both space and time. Such powers were beyond even the Ryuvians, for if such a power had been attained, the Holy Empire would have never collapsed. Even if it had, one could easily restore the Empire by simply traveling back in time. The implications of this discovery were too terrifying for me to dare speak. Indeed, I feared if I exposed the truth for her identity, she may simply write me out of existence. You're telling me Claude is a time traveler? No, far more than that. If such an entity could be given a name, then the closest description of her would be Claude is God. What? but not a god that seeks to be worshipped or feared. A god that seeks amusement. An entity which merely desires to watch over the insignificant little mortals at her feet and nudge them around for laughs. Shields could hardly believe what he was hearing. The notion that Venazar S. Arcadius was actually just a petite girl would have been easier to swallow than this revelation. That good-for-nothing hack of a doctor actually a deity? Yet the situation is still more troubling. I believe the sole reason for Claude joining the crew of the Sunrider was to lead you to me. What makes you think that? Given the new revelation that I was merely in cold sleep for mere months, there's only one remaining explanation as to how I ended up in this timeline given the circumstantial evidence at hand. I too am a time traveler, albeit an unintentional one. I must have warped forward in time 2,000 years just before the activation of the Sharlock's final tear. That would explain why I survived the certain death that the final tear would have caused. Claude has come to return me to my own timeline, so that this timeline can be fixed. Already, my existence in this uniform has begun to dramatically change the course of the galaxy's history. If I were to remain here, surely the entire fate of the universe may be at stake. Slow down, Soul. I'm not quite following. Why does you being here mean the universe is doomed? My arrival here has already changed the course of the universe's history. If the timeline were to deviate any further, I fear that an irreparable time paradox could occur. I am effectively a rogue agent which should not exist in this universe. If am to accidentally cause an event which would otherwise be impossible in the original timeline, then the entire space-time continuum could very well collapse. Put another way, if my existence changes the timeline so majorly as to alter the course of history, this entire universe will simply collapse. I am a threat more dire to this universe than either Pact or the prototypes, one which must be removed. No, you're one of us now. Shields gripped Solus' shoulders. From what you've told me of your timeline, if you were to go back to it, you'd just be used as a pawn again. Worse, you'll be killed right away. You said it yourself, right? You time warped just a second before the final tear burst. If you go back now, you'll just be dead. There's not a chance in hell I'll let that happen. Not on my watch. Captain, you mustn't say such things, or else... I swear, I'll protect you, Sola. The universe or time paradoxes can be damned. Yes, Captain. Now please. Shields realized he was inches away from Sola's face. He embarrassedly took his grip off of her. The two continued walking towards the hideout. Shields broke the now awkward silence. You know, you mentioned the time paradox, but you've been here with us for about a year now, and it looks to me the universe is still working out just fine. And Claude seems like she's still observing the situation. Maybe there's still a way out of this, without you returning to your own timeline. Yes, I shall hope for the best, while preparing my heart for the alternative. Another new problem, huh? For now, with the both of us hidden away on this remote planet, Sola won't be able to alter the timeline. Maybe that's part of the reason why she decided to come here as well. As long as we're here, I won't have to worry about the timeline collapsing. Anyways, for now, let's just leave the time paradox stuff alone. We'll deal with it once we have a ship again, and when I can confront Claude about all of this. Understood, Captain. To my relief, it appears that I am the only person from my timeline who was transported into this universe. I can only fear what the situation would be if the time displacement affected other individuals of my time. By the way, what's this hideout that Ava's got prepared for us anyways? It appears to be a small cabin built by the mining unit, which was abandoned decades past when the nearby rocks failed to yield any ore. We will be residing together in it in the meantime, until the commander and Asaga return from Ryuvia Prime. Okay. Wait, living together? Yes. Ava, you didn't mention this. Shields and Sola finally spotted the cabin. As Sola had stated, the small steel structure appeared long abandoned and was thoroughly covered with sand and dust. Shields looked at his temporary new home. He was now a fugitive from society, a space captain without a ship. His crew now scattered throughout the galaxy, desperately trying to restore what they had lost. One day they would all be reunited, but for now, the road ahead appeared dark. They were defeated, but not yet out. He gritted his teeth. Too many lives have been lost for him to surrender now. His crew had entrusted their lives to him. Despite letting everyone down, he still had everyone's support. He had to carry on, no matter the weight on his shoulders. He looked to the distance with Sola. They would rebuild from this point on. His losses had been grave. His wounds went beyond the physical, but he was still alive to fight another day. As long as he had but a sliver of strength left in him, he would keep trying to restore what was lost. This time, he had let his guard down. The scars of his past had made him seek easy comfort. When his crew needed his leadership, he instead sought his own happiness, and that only led to his downfall. The enemy used his grief to ultimately bring ruin to all of his hopes. He was betrayed by the one he trusted most. But next time he would not turn away the advice of his friends. From the ashes of his defeat, they would all be reborn. Deep inside of him, he knew the Sunrider will be reborn. And that's your new ending. From death, all will be reborn. Then all the Kickstarter credits. Then the Patreon ones. Probably should stop to check and see if I'm listed there, but I really don't care.
申し上げます。時空道路装置に故障。予想した時間を大きく外れ。決戦前の時間ではなく、同時、あのファラリの装置は何らかの妨害作業によって破壊されたゆえ。このお許しを。そうまるで。ファラリの新世界勝つ罠。
And there we go, you can see version 2.02, and we're done with Sunrider, but the whole problem still remains of they packed in way too much at the very end, and everything in the middle was just way too thin. Still not really satisfied with the whole thing, but it is what it is. So yeah, if I can think of anything else to say, I'll post that in the description, but I'm kind of pressed for time, so I need to cut the recording now. Until the next Sunrider comes out, I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.